During an emotional day in court, Patricia Velasquez tearfully testified about discovering her 12-year-old daughter's body in her room, tied up and clothes slightly pulled down.
And she had blood in her mouth.
Yo sabía que sabían hecho daño a mi nena.
I knew that someone had hurt my girl.
The accused killer, Roy Coons Jr., sat silently.
Mom, somebody's knocking on the door.
Pubertad, se equivocó.
She wrote puberty. She made a mistake.
Puerta,
Door.
ya se fue.
It's already gone.
Fue,
Left.
creo que era el hombre que corta el yarda.
I think it was the man who cuts the yard.
After the guilty verdicts, she remained calm, thanking everyone involved. She says God will forgive Coons, but is pleased with the verdicts. She shared that she really just wanted one thing from him.
Pero me hubiera gustado haber visto un poco de arrepentimiento de parte de él.
Before they brought forth all of the evidence and everything, before he was found guilty, one of the things that I would have liked to see from him would have been a little bit of remorse, some kind of feelings where he felt bad, guilty for what he did.
Hi guys, welcome back. Thank you so much for being here. It's so greatly appreciated. Truly is. Before we get started, let me give you my usual disclaimer that this video is for educational purposes only. Please do not take what I say as fact. Please always do your own research and come to your own conclusions. Next, if you have not liked, subscribed, or commented yet, please consider doing so. It really helps me out. I really appreciate it. Lastly, let me give you a warning that even though I always try to be as respectful as possible, this story is about a little girl and it's a little difficult to hear. So if you think it's going to be too much, I would highly suggest not watching this one. Take care of yourselves first. That's always most important. But if you're still here, let's get started, okay? 12-year-old Yhoana Arteaga was born on April 22nd, 2005. She was a popular 7th grader at Nashville's Liberty Collegiate Academy. She's been described as kind, polite, caring, fun, intelligent, and beautiful. She was always happy and she was always polite. Yhoana lived in this trailer park with her single mother, Patricia, and her 2 siblings, 10-year-old Oscar and 14-year-old Jocelyn. As most of us know, including myself, being a single mother is extremely difficult, and Patricia should never be faulted for having to leave her children home alone at times so that she could provide for them. She had given her children very strict rules that they were not to open the door to anyone, and if somebody knocked on the door for any reason, they were instructed to not walk around the trailer and not make any noise. A few months prior to August 10th, 2017, Patricia had hired this man, 45-year-old Roy Coons Jr. Roy lived 2 houses down from Patricia and has had quite a few run-ins with the law. Okay, starting at the age of 19. In 1999, he had his 3rd arrest for DUI. In 2001, he was found guilty for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. In 2006, he was charged with 2 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. In 2010, he was charged with aggravated burglary and more than 30 felonies and misdemeanors since 1992 and 13 probation violations from 1999 to 2020. So he is clearly a real gem. Class fucking act. About a month before Yhoana's death, her mother, Patricia, said that Roy came to the house to collect his payment for cutting her lawn. He stood outside and Patricia ran into the house to get cash. She comes back out with a $100 bill. Roy tells her that he doesn't have change for a $100 bill. So Patricia says, okay. She goes back into the house to get smaller bills. When she comes back out, she sees Roy with his head like sticking in her house way more than it should be, like sticking in her doorway way more than it should, and staring at her two daughters on the couch watching television. Hindsight is 20/20, but at the time she just thought that he was a nosy neighbor, so she gave him his money and politely pushed him out of her house and just didn't think about it again. August 10th, 2017. School had started, but not for Yhoana, who had sprained her ankle a few days prior in a skating accident. Patricia would wake up, get Oscar and Jocelyn off to school, and then she spent the morning with Yhoana, and at about 12 o'clock she left to go to her job at a dry cleaners. She got off of work at 6 p.m. and it was at that point that she had noticed she had missed text messages from Yhoana. At 4:15 p.m., she wrote, "Mom, someone's knocking on the door." 4 minutes later, at 4:19, she wrote, "I think it's the man who cuts the yard." Patricia responded to her daughter at 6:07 p.m. and told her not to make any noise. She picked up her kids, rushed home, and arrived at approximately 6:30 p.m. with Yhoana's siblings. Okay. 14-year-old Jocelyn went into the bedroom that her and Yhoana shared. That's where she saw her sister laying on top of a pile of clothes in between her bed and her dresser. She screamed for her mother. Patricia went running into the bedroom. She found Yhoana laying there with her pants and underwear pulled down and her karate belt wrapped around her neck twice and knotted in the back with a double knot. She knelt down, touched her daughter's shoulder, and felt that she was cold. She began screaming to Jocelyn to call 911. She took the belt off of her neck and ran to the bathroom to grab tissues because Yhoana had blood inside of her ears and her mouth. And she wanted to wipe it for her. I can't. People suck. People fucking suck. When detectives arrived, or should I make that? Yeah, stop it. When detectives arrived, they noticed the door to the master bathroom was closed. When they entered, they noticed that a pane of glass was in the sink. The curtains had been ripped down and the shelving was knocked over and laying on top of the toilet. So it became very obvious to police that this is how the perpetrator exited the trailer. When they walked around the outside of the trailer, they noticed pry marks on the back of the window and indentations on the bottom seal of the window. This told police that the person entered and exited through the same window. The Crime Scene Investigation Unit photographed and collected evidence from the trailer. Items included but not limited to an iPad, 2 karate belts, an unlit cigarette, a bag of Cheetos, a pair of latex gloves, and the mattress from Yhoana's bed. Photographs included several transfer blood stains on items such as a toilet paper package in the hallway, on a door, and on the victim's bed frame. While this was going on, detectives began speaking to witnesses in and around the trailer park. One detective in particular began to get a strange feeling from Roy Coons. He walked up to officers and asked what was going on. Sergeant Turner had explained to him that they were investigating a crime, and because of the way Coons was acting and hanging around, officers just decided to pick up and bag a cigarette butt after Coons had discarded it. And obviously, if you don't know, once you throw something on the ground, it's basically free range. It doesn't matter. They can take it. You discarded it. Officer Sampson also went to speak to Coons because he was hanging around the scene for so long, like hours and hours and hours. It wasn't like, nosy neighbors stop and look to see what's going on, and then they go about their business. No, he was there for hours. He told officers that he left around 11 or 12 to go get cigarettes, spent some time in his shed, and saw kids coming home from school at about 3 o'clock when he walked out to get the mail. The next 2 weeks following the murder, Patricia's trailer had 24/7 around-the-clock security to make sure that no evidence was tampered with and that detectives got everything they needed. Okay, so while an officer was standing outside of Patricia's trailer, he sees Roy Coons walk by, and he notices a pair of purple latex gloves in his back pocket as he walks by. I guess it could be a coincidence, but the following day, officers go over to Coons' trailer to record an interview with him. They ask him if he had ever been to Patricia's trailer, to which he responded that before Tricia moved in, his father's best friend, David Love, lived there, and he would be there all the time helping him around the house. Other than that, he had only been to the front door to collect payment for mowing her lawn. When detectives asked him if there would be any reason that his DNA would be inside the trailer, he told them that it would have been from when David Love was still alive. Patricia moved in to that trailer 2 years before this whole thing happened, so no, that wouldn't have been the reason. Idiot. So maybe it's just so dumb. They're so dumb. So many of them. When detectives asked Coons for a DNA sample, he willingly agreed. When officers asked him what should happen to the person that did this, Coons responded, quote, I would pretty much make sure that they endured anything that my child did, end quote. And just when I thought Roy Coons and I would never agree on anything, I absolutely think that he should endure everything that this child had to endure. Except for much longer and much more agonizing. He went on to tell police, like I was telling y'all yesterday, Miss Joe's sister-in-law's husband, say that fast, said the detective told him that she had been R-worded and, end quote. Okay, there's just one major problem with this statement, and that is that nobody knew this information except for a few police officers and the perpetrator. That's it. These details were not released to anybody. Okay. Next, police go to speak to a man named Moses Okoth. Moses was a homeless man that met Roy Coons in 2016. In September of 2017, Coons asked Moses if he had a spare tent that he could sleep in that was near him and where Moses and his girlfriend were staying. So Moses, seemingly being a good guy, decides to help Roy Coons out and set up a tent next to him and his girlfriend. Moses testifies that during his time at the campsite, Coons would have really bizarre conversations with them. He would start asking about God and forgiveness and flat out asked if they believed God would ever forgive them if they had ever murdered someone. So, completely taken back, obviously, and not knowing what to do, they advised Coons to repent and ask God for forgiveness. The following day, Coons calls Moses over to his trailer and asks, quote, "Have you ever someone?" End quote. He never revealed to him who it was, but Moses said that he told him, "That shit really sticks with you." What a fucking asshole. What a... Yeah, that shit sticks with you. I'm sure it's sticking with you. Not her mother, or her siblings, or her family, or the people that loved her. It's sticking with you. Okay. So, after officers learn about his really troubled past, they decide to get a warrant and God, I love them. After officers learn about Coons' troubled past, they decide to get a warrant and search his car. They remove numerous items from his car, including a sock and an orange-striped polo shirt. Autopsy results. This is not easy. This is really bad. Autopsy results show that Yhoana died from, but also suffered multiple injuries. Okay. Buckle up. She suffered multiple contusions on the left forehead, behind the right ear, and around the left ankle. She had abrasions below the left knee and on the right ankle. These marks were consistent with the striking of a metal bed rod or a metal rod in general. She also had hemorrhaging on her forehead, eyelid, cheeks, nasal bridge, inside of her eye, oral mucus, and on the right side of her back. Dr. Lee, who's the doctor that performed the autopsy, testified that these were a lot and usually occur when the is so tight that it will block the whole blood supply to the brain, so there's no blood supply and pressure builds up. We're not done. She had bruising around both eyes as well as bleeding in the whites of her eyes. She also had a rectangular shaped abrasion on her right cheek that could be consistent with her hitting her face on the end of her dresser. Because remember, she was found in between the bed and the dresser. We're not done. She had a patterned abrasion on her right cheek close to her nose that was consistent with being stomped on by a shoe. Lastly, there were ligature marks that were left behind from the and a kit was done for possible DNA, but there was no trauma down there, thankfully. Not that it makes it better, but several items found at the crime scene were taken and analyzed at the crime lab, including DNA swabs taken from Yhoana, curtains from the master bathroom, 2 karate belts, a tissue from under Yhoana's bed, swabs taken from the master bathroom window frame, a cigarette butt that was collected from Coons' trailer, an unlit cigarette found at the crime scene, a pillow from Yhoana's bedroom, Yhoana's mattress, hairs collected from Yhoana's mattress, a Cheetos wrapper, an ace bandage, the bra, underwear, shirt, and pants that Yhoana was wearing that day, a feminine hygiene pad, Yhoana's bedspread, a blanket, fabric from a box spring, swabs from her bed frame and headboard, swabs from Yhoana's iPad and headphones, and dried secretion swabs from her body. The white sock and polo shirt that were taken from Coons' car tested positive for blood. A DNA sample taken from those items and the cigarette butt collected outside of the trailer matched Roy Coons' DNA. There is a presence of a partial foreign DNA from an unknown individual on the yellow karate belt. Tissue, pillow, mattress, Cheetos wrapper, bra, shirt, pants, bedspread, headphones, and left breast swab. The person that performed these tests testified in court that these items either didn't reveal the presence of blood or the DNA profile was too limited to conclusively determine the contributor and recommended that further testing be done. Okay. A DNA analysis expert with the TBI conducted a YSTR DNA test, which specifically tests for the male chromosome. They performed this test on the yellow karate belt and the swabs taken from Yhoana. The special agent that performed these tests concluded that he was able to obtain a partial YSTR profile that matched the defendant, and therefore Coons could not be eliminated as a suspect. Another DNA expert from a separate company received 23 pieces of evidence to analyze for known matches. When testing a sample from the inside window frame of the master bathroom, the analysis showed that a DNA match to the defendant's profile was 99 million more times probable than a coincidental match to an unrelated Caucasian male. On July 15, 2019, after almost 4 hours of deliberation, Roy Coons Jr. was found guilty on all 5 counts, which included 2 counts of second-degree, first-degree felony, attempted R-word of a child, and aggravated criminal trespassing. In the end, Roy Coons Jr. would end up receiving life in prison plus 25 years. Bye. All right, guys, if you're still here, thank you. I appreciate you so very much. If you have not liked, subscribed, or commented yet, please consider doing so. It really helps me out. Only takes a couple seconds, and I really appreciate it. If you have any suggestions, please email me, harding527@yahoo.com. I know it takes me a little longer these days, but I promise I keep everything. I screenshot your comments and I save your emails. I promise you that. Until next time, stay safe out there.